Before the final battle between good and evil, there was a secret that no one dared to reveal, a secret so powerful it could change the way we see the world forever. Antichrist, a word shrouded in mystery, fear, and even fascination. But what if everything you thought you knew about the Antichrist is only the surface of a deeper, more disturbing truth? For centuries, this figure has haunted both religious teachings and popular culture. But what is the real story behind the Antichrist? Is he merely a myth, a creature of legends, or is there something far more chilling at play here? What if the answer has been hiding in plain sight, woven into the fabric of our history, our faith, and even our own modern battles for power and justice? In this video, you will uncover the disturbing truths about the Antichrist, his origins, his rise, and the unsettling consequences of his existence. You will see how this age-old prophecy shapes our modern world in ways we've never imagined. How power, fear, and control are part of the very core of his identity. And most importantly, you will discover why this story, one of chaos, redemption, and the ultimate battle for our souls, holds the key to understanding our future. Now imagine this. Could the Antichrist be closer to us than we think? Could the signs be all around us, but we've been blind to them? Stay with me as we uncover the terrifying connection between ancient prophecy and the real-world forces shaping our destiny. Antichrist and the unseen forces of power. Imagine this, a time of unparalleled destruction where one figure rises above all others, commanding the world's greatest powers. This is no mythical monster, but a force, an embodiment of humanity's deepest fears and desires, lurking at the crossroads of faith and madness. This figure, the Antichrist, has remained one of the most polarizing and compelling symbols throughout history. But what if the Antichrist isn't just a figure from ancient prophecies, but the very force shaping the world we live in today? Could it be that the stories we hear in church, the teachings we debate, and the horrors we witness are all connected to this age-old prophecy? As we delve deeper into the concept of Antichrist, it's essential to understand not just his role as an end-time figure, but how this figure has been used and misused through time to manipulate, control, and change the course of history. From the ancient scrolls to modern-day wars, from the rise of empires to the fall of great nations, the Antichrist serves as a symbol, a warning perhaps, that resonates through every major struggle for power. The Bible tells us that the Antichrist will rise from among nations, a figure so persuasive, so powerful, that he will lead people into worshipping him, causing chaos and suffering along the way. We often think of him as a singular figure, but in truth the Antichrist isn't just one man, it is a system, a network, a force that works through human ambition, greed, and the quest for power. This is why understanding the prophecy of Antichrist is more urgent today than ever. This is why it's not just about one final battle. It's about the ongoing struggle for human souls, fought in the hearts and minds of every individual who seeks to wield power over others. The hidden hand behind our struggles. Consider the rise of empires, whether ancient or modern. Every conquest, every war, every societal collapse has had its orchestrators, men and women who, driven by greed or ambition, wielded their power in ways that brought about suffering. The Antichrist, according to the Bible, thrives in these very circumstances. When we look at the forces behind wars like the Crusades, the spread of colonialism, or even the current geopolitical struggles, we see the subtle manipulation of the masses, often disguised as righteousness, as justified violence, as the right cause. But could these hidden figures, these powers that move in shadows, be manifestations of the Antichrist's influence? The true power of the Antichrist lies not in a single man, but in the idea he represents, the corruption of power. It's the belief that one individual or group has the divine right to control, dominate, and manipulate others. This is why the Antichrist is never just one person. He is the embodiment of every unjust system that forces people into submission, whether through fear, greed, or deception. Think about the political systems we live under today. How many times have we seen leaders rise to power through promises of peace and prosperity, only to lead us into chaos, war, or oppression? It's a pattern as old as time, and it's no coincidence. In the end, the Antichrist isn't just a title for one future figure. It's the force behind the injustices of the world. We can see his work not only in the past, in the rise and fall of empires, but also in our present, in the systems of inequality, oppression, and corruption that continue to plague our societies. And it is within this context, this struggle for power, that we must seek to understand the role of the Antichrist in today's world. Facing the darkness. How the Antichrist forces us to confront ourselves. But the story of the Antichrist is not just one of external forces. It's a mirror to the darkness within each of us. The Bible teaches us that while the Antichrist will seek to deceive the nations, he will also appeal to our own selfish desires. He will offer us power, control, and the illusion of peace, if only we follow him, worship him, bend to his will. And the scariest part of this prophecy isn't that the Antichrist will come. It's that many will follow, believing the lie that he offers. What does this mean for us? The Antichrist isn't just an ancient prophecy to be read and forgotten. It's a warning that we too have within us the potential for great evil. The temptation to compromise, to justify wrongdoings for the sake of personal gain or power, is a battle we fight every day. It's in the choices we make, whether to stand up for what is right, to fight for justice, or to remain silent when others are suffering. Each of us has a role to play in resisting this force. It's not about waiting for one man to appear. It's about standing firm against the systems of control and manipulation that exist in our world today. This is why the Bible's teachings about the Antichrist aren't just about prophecy. They are about personal responsibility. They challenge us to examine the ways we, as individuals, can be complicit in the cycles of corruption and violence. The Antichrist, in this sense, is not a distant figure, but a presence we must confront in our own hearts and in the world around us. The struggle for redemption. Yet there is hope. The story of the Antichrist is also a story of redemption. It's about the ultimate triumph of good over evil. But in order to overcome this force, we must first understand it, face it, and reject the false promises it offers. The Bible tells us that in the end, the Antichrist will be defeated, not through human strength or might, but through the power of truth, love, and sacrifice. These are the true weapons that can defeat the darkness. In a world so deeply divided, so desperately searching for meaning, the teachings of the Bible remind us that our fight is not just against the external forces of power and corruption. It is a fight for our souls, a fight to preserve our humanity in the face of overwhelming evil. And it is through embracing love, justice, and mercy that we can stand strong, refusing to give in to the lies that the Antichrist offers. As we reflect on the story of the Antichrist, we are reminded that our actions matter. Every day, we are faced with choices that either lead us closer to the light or deeper into the darkness. The question is, which path will we take? Will we fight for justice, for peace, for the truth, or will we fall prey to the seductive lies of power and control? This is the challenge that lies before us, to face the Antichrist within and around us and choose to live according to the higher calling of love and truth. It is a difficult path, but it is the only one that leads to true freedom and redemption. The Antichrist may be a force in this world, but it is love and truth that will ultimately triumph. The struggle is real, but so is the victory. The Antichrist and the darkness within us. It's a question that haunts every believer, every seeker of truth. How far are we willing to go in the face of unimaginable power? In a world swirling with chaos and deception, the figure of the Antichrist rises not just as a distant prophecy, but as a stark reflection of humanity's most dangerous tendencies. He is not merely a future figure, he is an embodiment of the human urge to control, to dominate, to deceive. The story of the Antichrist is not just written in ancient texts, it is lived every day in the choices we make. The Antichrist is not simply a man, he is the very system of power, deceit, and oppression that humans have created throughout history. This force thrives where corruption, fear, and greed lie in wait, drawing in those who seek to manipulate, those who are willing to sell their soul for power. When we look at the course of human history, we see the Antichrist's influence in every empire that has risen to power through violence, deceit, and oppression. The rise of the Antichrist is not a singular event, but a constant pattern that repeats itself throughout time. From ancient kingdoms to modern-day superpowers, the struggle for power remains the same, and the forces behind it, the forces of the Antichrist, move with subtlety and persuasion, lurking behind the mask of righteousness, justice, and even peace. This is why understanding the Antichrist is not just a theological exercise, it is an exploration into the depths of human nature itself. The Bible teaches us that the Antichrist will come as a leader who will unite the nations under a false banner, convincing them that his way is the way of peace, of unity, of salvation. But beneath the surface lies a terrible truth. The Antichrist does not bring peace. He brings division, suffering, and the destruction of the soul. His reign is not one of enlightenment, but of darkness, a darkness that clouds the hearts and minds of those who follow him. As we look around us today, we are faced with the same questions. Is it possible that we too are under the sway of forces greater than ourselves? Are we not all susceptible to the allure of power, to the temptation to sacrifice our values for the sake of success, wealth, or influence? The story of the Antichrist is not just a tale of one man or one moment in history. It is the story of every human heart, of every person who has ever struggled with the desire to dominate, to control, to rule over others. The Antichrist within and the battle for our souls. But the real danger of the Antichrist isn't just in the external forces that seek to oppress and deceive, it lies within each of us. The Bible does not simply tell the story of an external enemy, it challenges us to face the enemy within. The Antichrist is not just a figure to be feared, he is a mirror, a reflection of the darkness we must confront in our own hearts. Each time we give in to the temptation of greed, pride, or fear, we are complicit in the very systems that the Antichrist represents. Each time we choose the path of least resistance, when we choose to remain silent in the face of injustice, we are allowing the forces of darkness to grow stronger. This battle is not fought with weapons or armies. It is fought in the silence of our own hearts, in the choices we make every day. The real question is not whether the Antichrist will appear in the future. The question is whether we are allowing him to shape our lives right now. In every moment we choose to compromise our values, to turn a blind eye to suffering, or to accept the lies of the powerful, we are contributing to the world the Antichrist is building. And the consequences of this are far more destructive than we can imagine. The Antichrist is not just a symbol of evil, he is the culmination of humanity's deepest flaws. He is the temptation to give in to our darkest impulses, to put ourselves above others, to use our power for personal gain, and to build systems that oppress and deceive. The Bible warns us that in the end, the Antichrist will lead the nations astray, convincing them that they are doing the right thing, when, in reality, they are walking the path of destruction. And this is not just a prophecy for the future, it is a warning for the present. Each day, we are faced with choices that either lead us toward truth or draw us further into the darkness. The fight against the forces of darkness. But there is hope. The Bible doesn't leave us to face this battle alone. The story of the Antichrist is ultimately the story of redemption. It is the story of how good will triumph over evil, truth will overcome lies, and love will conquer hate. The Antichrist may reign for a time, but his victory is only temporary. In the end, it is love, not power, that will rule. It is justice, not oppression, that will endure. And it is the truth, not the lie, that will stand. This is the message we must hold on to. The battle we face is not against a single figure. It is against the forces that seek to corrupt our hearts and minds, to lead us into the lie that power, control, and fear are the answers to our problems. The Antichrist does not win through force. He wins through deception. He convinces us that the world is too broken, that we are too weak to change anything. But the truth is, we are not powerless. The power to resist, to fight against the darkness, lies within each of us. This is why the Bible's message is so powerful. It is not just a book about the past, it is a guide for today. It teaches us how to live in a world where the Antichrist's influence is ever present. It shows us that the true path to victory is not through violence or domination, but through love, justice, and mercy. We may not be able to stop every injustice, but we can choose to live with integrity. We can choose to stand up for what is right, even when it is difficult. We can choose to resist the temptation to compromise our values for the sake of power or convenience. The question is not whether the Antichrist will come. He already has. The question is whether we will recognize him for what he is, and whether we will choose to resist him. This is the challenge before us: to face the darkness, to reject the lies, and to live in the truth. The triumph of love over power. In the end, the story of the Antichrist is not a story of despair. It is a story of hope. It is a reminder that, no matter how dark the world may seem, there is always a path to redemption. We are not alone in this fight. The love of God, the power of truth, and the strength of our faith will guide us through. The Antichrist may try to deceive us, but he cannot defeat the truth. And in the end, it is the truth that will set us free. This is the message we must carry with us as we navigate the challenges of our world. The Antichrist may have his moment, but his reign is temporary. The love of God, the power of truth, and the victory of justice will endure forever. The Antichrist and the path to redemption. In the darkness, a whisper lingers, unseen but ever present. The Antichrist is not just a figure to fear. He is a force that has woven itself into the very fabric of human history, shaping the wars, the struggles, and the moral dilemmas that continue to plague us. But the story of the Antichrist is not merely one of doom and destruction. It is a profound lesson for all of us. It is a story that leads us not to fear, but to courage, not to despair, but to hope. Because in the end, the Antichrist's power is not in his ability to destroy, but in his ability to deceive. His true weapon is not violence, but manipulation, a promise of power, a vision of control, an illusion of safety. For centuries, this figure has captivated our imaginations, frightened us with the prospect of a world ruled by evil, and caused us to question our deepest beliefs. But what if the true story of the Antichrist isn't about some distant future event, but about the battle we fight every day in our hearts? What if the real power of the Antichrist lies not in the world around us, but within us? What if we are all faced with the same choice, to fall for the lie or to stand firm in the truth? The Bible speaks of the Antichrist as a force that will come to deceive the nations, to lead them astray with promises of peace and prosperity. But this deception is not an external force. It is an internal struggle. Every time we choose comfort over truth, every time we choose silence over action, We are participating in the very systems the Antichrist seeks to establish. This is the battle we must confront. The temptation to believe that power, control, and self-interest are the answers to our problems. The Antichrist's power lies not in his ability to control the world, but in his ability to control our hearts. But the Antichrist's reign is not inevitable. It is not an unstoppable force. In fact, it is a fragile illusion, one that can be shattered by the truth. And that truth is this: love and justice, mercy and grace, are more powerful than any system of control, than any force of evil. The story of the Antichrist, if we choose to face it honestly, is not a story of despair. It is a story of redemption. The power of evil can never truly triumph, because love and truth will always have the final word. In our lives, we are constantly faced with choices that echo this battle. When we are confronted with injustice, when we see others suffering, do we stand up and fight, or do we turn away, allowing the forces of deception and control to take root? The Antichrist is not just an external figure, it is the fear, the hatred, and the greed that dwell within us all. But it is also the love, the mercy, and the justice that can break through the darkness. And when we choose to act in love, when we choose to stand for what is right, we are resisting the Antichrist's influence, not just in the world around us, but in ourselves. Every time we make the decision to speak truth, to stand for justice, to show mercy, we are taking a step toward the victory over the darkness. The battle against the Antichrist is not won with force, but with love. It is not won by fighting power with power, but by choosing to walk in the light of truth and compassion. And this, my friends, is the ultimate victory, the victory of love over evil, truth over deception, light over darkness. The Antichrist is not something we need to fear. He is something we need to recognize and resist. He is not just a future event to be predicted, but a present reality to be confronted. The power he holds over us is not in some final showdown, but in the everyday choices we make to resist his lies. And when we choose the path of truth and love, we are living out the victory that has already been won. This is the message of hope in the story of the Antichrist. It is not about waiting for some future battle to be fought. It is about realizing that the battle is happening now, and it is one we can win. We can choose to live in truth. We can choose to act in love. And by doing so, we choose the victory that has already been secured. In this fight, there is no middle ground. There is no neutrality. Each of us is called to choose. Will we follow the path of power and control, or will we walk the path of love and truth? The Antichrist may offer us a tempting vision of peace and prosperity, but it is a peace built on lies and manipulation. True peace, true prosperity, can only be found in the light of love and justice. And when we choose to walk in that light, we are rejecting the deception of the Antichrist and embracing the truth that will set us free. This is the victory we must live for. Not the victory of a man, not the victory of a system, but the victory of love over hatred, truth over lies, light over darkness. And when we choose that victory, we are choosing the path of redemption, not just for ourselves, but for the world around us. So let us stand firm in the truth. Let us walk in the light, and let us live out the love that will defeat the darkness once and for all. This is the true power we hold. This is the victory we are called to live. And in the end, it is this victory that will triumph over all. In the deepest corners of our lives, where our fears meet our hopes, the battle between light and darkness unfolds. It's not just a fight you see in the pages of the Bible or on some faraway battlefield. It's here, right now, in every decision we make. The Antichrist, the figure that haunts our dreams and our nightmares, is more than just a prophecy. He is a reflection of the darkness that we, as human beings, struggle against every single day. Every one of us faces moments when we are tempted to give in to power, to choose the path that seems easier, more secure. We see it in the world: corruption, injustice, hatred, and we wonder, can the light truly overcome this overwhelming darkness? Can love, truth, and justice really prevail in a world that so often seems to be on the brink of destruction? The Antichrist may seem like a distant myth, but the truth is, his spirit lives on in every act of betrayal, in every unjust system that holds people captive, in every lie we allow ourselves to believe. He is not just a figure to fear, but a challenge to us all. The question is, how will we respond? When we look around, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the power structures that dominate our world. Governments, corporations, ideologies, each one playing its part in this web of control, manipulation, and deceit. But what if the power to change all of this lies not in overthrowing a system, but in rejecting the mindset that allows that system to thrive? The truth is, the Antichrist thrives on our silence, on our apathy, on our willingness to believe that nothing can change. But that's where we're wrong. Every time we choose kindness over hatred, compassion over indifference, justice over convenience, we are striking a blow against the darkness. Every time we stand up and speak the truth, when the world tries to silence us, we are rejecting the lie that has held humanity captive for so long. The Antichrist doesn't need an army to win. He just needs us to believe that the fight is impossible, that we are powerless, that we are alone. But we're not alone. We are surrounded by a community of people, of believers, who are fighting the same fight. And together, we can be the light in the darkness. But this fight isn't just about confronting an external enemy. It's about confronting the darkness within ourselves. The Bible teaches us that the Antichrist doesn't just appear as a figure on a throne. He emerges from the choices we make in the quiet moments of our lives. He is the fear that holds us back from speaking the truth, the greed that tempts us to harm others for our own gain, the pride that blinds us to the needs of those around us. It's in every lie we tell ourselves, every time we choose to ignore the suffering of others, every time we put our desires above the welfare of those who need us most. And it's in every moment we choose love over hate, humility over arrogance, and truth over deception, that we dismantle the power of the Antichrist. The fight is real. It's not some distant battle we will face in the future. It's the fight we face every day, and we have the power to win. But we must first believe that we can. The power to resist the darkness doesn't lie in some grand, heroic act. It lies in the everyday choices we make to live with integrity, to stand for what is right, and to refuse to be intimidated by the forces of corruption and deceit. We may not have the power to change everything overnight, but every small act of kindness, every act of courage, every time we stand for justice, we chip away at the walls the Antichrist has built around us. The power to change the world isn't in some mythical future, it's here, within each of us. And it's only when we come together, united in love and truth, that we can defeat the darkness that seeks to consume us. The Antichrist can never defeat love. He can never defeat truth. He can never defeat hope. And that's why, no matter how overwhelming the battle may seem, we must never give up. We are the light that shines in the darkness. We are the hope that the world desperately needs. If this message has touched your heart, if you feel the spark of truth burning within you, I invite you to support this journey of sharing God's love, light, and truth. Every step we take together, every act of kindness, every word of truth we share, brings us closer to a world where love reigns supreme. Your support, whether through your comments, likes, or simply by sharing these videos, is more than just a gesture. It's a declaration that we will not let the darkness win, that we will stand for what is right, no matter the cost. Every small act of support is a step toward the victory we are all striving for. Thank you, from the depths of my heart, for being a part of this. You are not alone in this fight. We are all in this together. And together, we will triumph over the darkness. Let's keep shining the light.